right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cyberverse. I am your sentient malware host, Nimda.EXE, and today we are going to be doing something a little different for the channel. I've been asked to do this, I don't know how many times, and I never really felt like super comfortable doing it, but I recently had a client ask me to help them with something, but they wanted to learn how to do it themselves. So normally I would just send them to a tutorial, but since I'm the one working on their model, they asked specifically for my insight. So here we go. I'm going to do this for the first time, so please excuse me if this is a little wonky and not the best of quality, because I've never done a tutorial video before. So what are we doing today? Today we are going to learn to combine two armatures into one. So first thing you need to do is to open up a copy of Blender. Obviously that's what we're going to be doing this in. This is what most people use because it's free. I'm using 4.5 today. You can do this with a couple different versions of Blender, and the tool I am using is available for a number of different versions. I have done this in a couple different versions of Blender. First time doing it in 4.5, but it should work all the same. So first thing that we're going to need for this, at least to make it easier on ourselves, is a tool called CATS. It is quite common. It's used a lot in making VR chat avatars, but it works really well if you're doing 3D VTubing and you have a couple different meshes that are already rigged with armatures. So what we want to do is we want to go to GitHub, to this address right here. CATS is being phased out for a new tool, but right now that tool is in alpha. I don't really feel comfortable doing a tutorial using a alpha tool because I don't really have any experience with said tool. So we're going to use this, and this is still available. And if you want, I can make a tutorial later on how to use the new alpha tool. But for now, we're going to use CATS. We want to go right down here to releases. This is the 4.52, only for Blender 4.5. We're going to grab this. We want to click on this link. It will bring us to this page. And right down here, this plugin, the unofficial, if you simply click it, it will start to download. I already have it downloaded, so I am not going to click it. No reason to download it again. And then from there, you're going to want to come up here to Edit and go down to Preferences. In Preferences, we are going to need to install this. We're in Add-ons, by the way. Right over here, you want to click this little down arrow, which is your add-on setting, and install from disk wherever you downloaded that to. You can install it. Do not unzip it. Do not unzip it. Probably should have said that earlier. But do not unzip it. Click install from disk. And you're just going to search where you have it. Click install. And then it should come up in here under your add-ons. There it is for me. CATS. Make sure it is active. This right here, these warnings are because it is at the end of its life. You can disregard these. Everything I have tested with this, it works. You want to also make sure that you click on enabled to make sure it's enabled. That little checkbox right there. If you have any problems where it doesn't work once you tick the enabled, you can always exit out of Blender and turn it back on. It should work at that point. So now that we're here in Blender with our default cube, I call it Cubey because that is what it is. We can just press N and boom, there is your toolbox. You can take a look at some of these different options if you like, see what you have in here, see what you recognize, see what you don't. Again, if you want a more in-depth tutorial on this, I will be happy to do it for you guys if enough people want it. However, over here, we are going to clean up our collection and our hierarchy. Won't need camera, won't need the cube. Poor cube, always getting deleted. We won't need the lighting. From here, I already have the Blender file from my client for this. You can also import models in other ways. You can import FBXs. You can import a number of different files. VRM files, you need a special add-on for that. If you're importing a VRM and want to know how to do that, I will happily make a tutorial for that too, because there's a couple different things in Blender that you need. But since I have the Blender file for this, I am just going to use the Blender file. Of course, when you delete the cube, it's going to ask you if you want to save changes. You don't need to save. From here, I am just going to grab the file, which should still be in my downloads. There she is. All right. Take a moment for everything to load. All right. So it does look like everything is in the file. Everything is loaded. All right. I took a moment to make sure everything was there, everything was working. So it looks like they tried to attach the two armatures together, but couldn't quite do it, and that's fine. I was wondering when I first opened this why this right here, which is the second armature the client wanted attached, was like part of the same armature as this one, because usually when that happens, that means that it's already attached. But as we can see, the two armatures are not actually interacting with each other. They are not attached. And there's a very specific way that you need to do this in order to make it work. Because otherwise, if we toggle over here into pose mode, so first we want to select the armature and then select pose mode. And as you can see, she's not connected to the rest of her. It goes all over the place. Also, whenever you go into pose mode, when you move the model, it will stay, as you can see, in this weird position, even if you go back to object mode. So in order to undo this mess that you have made, because you can literally have your model in all sorts of, all your bones and stuff in weird different positions. And now it's stuck like that. So what you need to do then is you need to select all your bones that you have moved. Go up here to pose, clear transform all, which will put her back into the position you needed her in. All right, back over to object mode. So first things first, we know everything is connected. We know everything is working. Everything is where it needs to be. So we need to open cats. The keyboard shortcut is N. You can also start pose mode from here in cats, which the advantage of starting pose mode in cats is if you do all this wonky silliness that I did earlier, and then when you hit stop pose mode, it will auto set your model back to its default pose, the T-pose. That is also a nice advantage of using cats as opposed to doing everything directly through Blender itself. You can also swap armatures over here. So if you want to test, say, how the rest of this stuff works. You can go into pose mode. And as you can see, everything works very nicely. So we need to get these two armatures joined together. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. The way to do it directly through Blender is by shift clicking both armatures. So this one and this one. You can also do it with control click so it doesn't select all that. And then you hit control J, which will join them as one giant armature. But as you can see, it does like to mess things up. So you have to go in here and fix this. Control Z to remove that change. I find that it's much easier to do it through cats. It fixes a lot of the problems that joining it directly through Blender does. It's very easy to join things together. You go up here to custom model creation, pick it, and it will drop down. And as you can see, we will end up with this box over here that says merge armatures. Your base, you always want to be your main armature, this one right here. To merge is this armature, which is conveniently marked as armature 1. Now, attached to typically doesn't come up. This is something new in the 4.5 edition. Usually this only comes up when you're joining bones together. One of the things I like to tick off is join meshes, remove 0.8 bones, and clean up shape keys, because that tends to break any custom shape keys. It will try to combine and shove everything together, and sometimes that breaks things. One of the good ones, though, I found is merge bones. So what this does is, if in this armature, you see how we have hip, and then over here, we also have hips. We want to merge these bones together into one singular bone. Otherwise, when you try to put this in something like Unity or another software and turn it into a VTuber model, or even for animation, having two different hip bones is going to confuse the software. However, because when they did this, they weren't aware of how to do this, we have hip/2 now, which is going to be a problem. So something we're going to need to do first is we're going to need to rename every single one of these bones. Because in order to merge all bones in cats, when we combine the two armatures together, everything has to have the same bone name, or it's going to break everything. So we're going to go over here and just start to rename these bones. So give me just a second. Just in case me zipping through this really quick in the time-lapse part of this video is confusing to anyone, I'm going to slow it down right here. And to show you how easy this is, what you're doing is you're basically selecting your bone over here, and then you can just very easily double click and it will highlight it. Now, obviously, we don't want to hit backspace because it's going to delete the whole thing. So what we want to do instead is we want the cursor, and we just want to get rid of anything. If you want to learn how to custom parent and put all these bones together manually yourself, which is a good skill to know for when you are building your own 3D model, I can also show you how to do that in a separate tutorial. But for now, we're just going to learn how to combine two pre-made armatures and pre-weight painted armatures. Oh, I wanted to make a note. When you get to stuff like the fingers and hands, where when you expand them, there's all these countless little bones. My suggestion, so you don't get confused, is just expand one at a time, fix anything you need to fix, and then just go on to the next one. You can also, if this is a little too confusing for you, actually recollapse that bone tree. But I'm going to get back to this, and then we will continue. All right, looks like I got everything renamed, so the names are matching. Once again, as you can see, hips to hips, etc. Also, anything that was custom named that was different, like the skirt here, that doesn't exist up here, I left alone because we don't want to mess with that. So, moment of truth, we're going to see if what I did worked. Make sure I got everything named properly. And we are going to take these two armatures and merge them together in cats. All right, you ready? Hopefully I got everything right. And as we can see, we have a problem already. Something that happened here is something isn't properly zeroed out, meaning that its origin points are not set to the deform points. So we're gonna have to fix this problem real quick here. Hopefully we won't have to re-import the model file entirely. Hopefully we can just kind of zero out any transforms.
A few hours later.
All right, I'm back. I got everything working now. Unfortunately, I did have to re-import the little dress, skirt, and top. I'm not sure what the client did, but whenever, even after I rename bones and set origin points and stuff, it would still try to pull the model like up, down, and all around. It wasn't staying centered. I tried a couple different tricks, but nothing seemed to work. So ultimately, I just re-imported the outfit. It's easier that way. And as you can see over here in the hierarchy, this is how it will normally look. Normally the body would be above the skirt, but because I just deleted the outfit and left the body in place when I re-imported the outfit, it's at the top in the hierarchy, because that is how the hierarchy works. You import something new, it goes over top of what's already in there. Either way, it doesn't matter which way you do it. It all depends on you and what you prefer. For this particular project, this will be fine, but usually I prefer my base to be on top and everything I'm adding to it to be underneath it in the hierarchy. You can also add it to a different collection if you like. There's a number of different ways to organize Blender. We're not going to get into that right now. We have everything here. Everything is working. Just to prove that, you know, I didn't change anything. I didn't move anything. As you can see, we have different body part here. Couple different body parts. As you can see from the varying parts and bits and bobs here. I'll even move the other body for you so you can see that yes, they are not combined yet, in case you were curious. Now, back down here where we have merge armatures. As you see, I have ticked everything off. There are a number of ways that you can do this in cats that works. You can apply transformations. So if, say, I move this arm, if I can get it there, and I want to apply that, I can. Joining meshes is a great way to simplify your model down, especially for things like VR chat, where I can combine all of these meshes together into a simplified mesh. That's what that does. Remove zero weight bones is if a bone is not weighted. then it will just remove that bone. It will see it as it's just a useless bone, a leftover from when you were making the model. It will remove it. I don't do that either because some bones are in there for a reason. There's a number of different reasons you would have a zero weighted bone in your model. Once again, we're not going to get too much into that. Clean up shape keys. This is nice, is it sometimes tries to combine them all together, especially if you're combining meshes. I also have found this to a lot of times just sometimes delete shape keys. So I tend to turn these off because it messes stuff up. If you turn off merge all bones, it will ask you to merge usually to a bone, or it will keep two separate copies of your armature. Merging all bones is better, especially now that, as you can see, we have all of these bones named the same, which was the whole point of what we were doing earlier. We want it to fuse together into one singular armature where the weight painting covers everything and moves everything equally. Hopefully this time everything should work now that I've fixed any errors and problems. And moment of truth. Boom. Well, it looks like we have a singular complete armature. Let's see what happens. Well, upper body moves. The best way to test to make sure everything's moving is to move, that is the skirt root, not the hip bone. The best thing to do to make sure everything is hooked together is to grab your hip bone, which is typically the base of all models. It is the main parent, and just flip her all around like this. And if if nothing deforms weird, you don't got any eldritch monstrosity things stretching all over, you should be good. This is the Vroid armature bone. You can also move it, as you can see, as this model was initially a VRM. All right, it looks like everything is working. I'm going to leave this tutorial here. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them in the comments, because again, I'm not 100% sure how good this tutorial was. It's my first tutorial, so I hope it was adequate. If you want more information on custom weight painting, how to weight paint when you are creating a model, I will happily do a tutorial on that. There are countless other things that go into making a model. This was just a simple tutorial on how to take two different armatures that are already made, weight painted, everything is parented and attached, and put them together to form a singular armature. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you liked and it was helpful, please be sure to like, please be sure to subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you in the Cyberverse. Bye.